The twin suns of Kepler 442b cast their golden light across vast crystal fields, where the Zilani practiced an art older than memory. To watch them at work was to witness music made physical. Their translucent forms moved through the formations like living prisms, bending light into radiant arcs. Each gesture drew a harmony from the crystalline structures, songs that resonated across caverns and valleys. These were not just melodies. They were energy, tones refined over thousands of years, capable of powering fleets and star systems. Tar stood at the observation deck of the High Ridge facility. Below, his people shimmered in the sunlight, laughter of Zilani children rising into the air like scattered notes in a cosmic symphony. Peace, unbroken for millennia, lingered in every corner of this world. But beyond that peace, a shadow was moving. Far out among the drifting asteroids, a human cargo vessel threaded its way toward the planet. The New Horizon was a small ship by galactic standards, and her captain, Jake Morrison, leaned tiredly against the worn arm of his pilot's chair. Coffee sat cooling by his side as his eyes scanned the ever-shifting navigation displays. Farming equipment and medical supplies filled the hold, aid for the Zilani colonies. This was his fourth journey to this crystalline world, and he had grown strangely attached to the people who always greeted him with shimmering harmonies and gentle kindness. But then Lisa Park's voice broke the calm. "Jake," she said sharply from the engineering station, "long-range sensors are showing something strange. Massive energy signatures, inbound from the outer system." Danny Rodriguez looked up from his comms console, his face pale. "Multiple contacts on approach vector. These aren't freighters. Their energy output's way too high. Captain, they're warships." Jake's stomach clenched. The tactical screen filled with red dots. Dozens. The formation of a fleet. Military vessels, burning in from hyperspace. He whispered the thought none of them wanted to say aloud, "They're heading for the planet." "ETA, 20 minutes, Lisa replied, her voice tight with dread. And then, reality tore. The first Korak dreadnought emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare made real. Kilometers of blackened metal bristling with weapons that could split the crust of a planet. And behind it, more ships, hulking, relentless, a tide of conquest unlike anything the Zilani had ever seen. On the surface, Tar felt it first. The crystals themselves shuddered, the harmonic symphony twisting into discord. Where there had been music, there was now only dread. His people lifted their faces to the sky, prisms reflecting light in fractured patterns, confusion rippling through them. The suns dimmed behind the silhouettes of war. High above, on the flagship Oblivion's Wrath, Supreme Commander Thakmor of the Korak Dominion studied the tranquil world below. His reptilian features creased into something like amusement. A defenseless jewel. The Zilani were known for music, for art, for beauty. But not for war. Not for resistance. "Transmit the terms," Thakmor commanded. His voice was deep, resonant, the voice of a conqueror who had already crushed 47 star systems beneath the Dominion banner. Complete submission, or orbital annihilation. Within seconds, the demand reached every Zilani communicator. Velter, one of the Elder Council, heard the jagged, mechanical voice in broken galactic common. Its meaning was clear: surrender your mining, surrender your freedom, surrender your children. Or burn. Elder Zini, oldest among them, felt the crystal frequencies cry out in pain across the planet. It was as if the entire world itself mourned. She knew the truth: her people had no weapons, no armies. They were artisans and miners, not warriors. Yet she spoke to the others in the council chamber, her crystalline voice heavy with determination. "We must send word. Someone must hear us. Someone must come." Desperate signals left Kepler 442b, racing through the void. Most went unanswered. On Nexus Prime, capital of the Galactic Council, representatives debated but offered little. The aquatic depth singers expressed sorrow, but their fleets were busy. The Hivekin offered prayers but no ships. Sympathy, yes. But no salvation. And then the bombardment began. Jake Morrison watched from orbit as beams of pure energy raked across the crystal fields, detonating in dazzling clouds of glittering dust. Structures that had stood for centuries collapsed in seconds. Lisa whispered, "We're just a cargo ship, Jake, what can we do?" "Maybe nothing," Jake said grimly. "But Earth Command needs to know. Danny, emergency frequency. Send everything." The desperate call reached Admiral Kate Sullivan at Frontier Defense Station 9. For 30 years she had commanded the Human Defense Force along the borders of contested space. She had seen raiders, pirates, hostile empires, but the sight on her displays chilled her still. The Zilani pleas crackled through ruined comm channels, their voices weaker with each passing hour. Policy was clear. Humanity was not to interfere in conflicts between alien powers. Neutrality kept Earth safe. But as she listened to Elder Zini's melodic final broadcast, Sullivan felt something deeper stir. "This is Elder Zini of the Zilani Collective. We are a peaceful people under attack by the Korak Dominion. Our world burns. Our children die. If any can hear this, help us. We have no weapons. Only our songs. But do not let our voices be silenced forever." Sullivan turned to her staff. "Get me Colonial Command. And begin assembling deployment plans for the Third Fleet." On Kepler 442b, Korak dropships fell like steel locusts, spewing soldiers in powered armor. The Zilani cowered, powerless, as overseers herded them toward the mines. Yet Elder Zini still managed to reach the transmission array. Surrounded by destruction, she broadcast once more, a plea wrapped in melody. A last hope carried into the stars. Most species heard and stayed silent. Fear ruled them. Fear of the Dominion's retaliation. But humans were different. Across Earth space, whispers spread. Admiral Sullivan stood before the Colonial Council on Earth itself, surrounded by politicians who spoke of treaties and trade. They urged caution, non-interference, safety. But Sullivan's voice cut through. Sometimes being human means doing what's right, no matter the cost. And the news spread like fire through dry grass. The Deathworlders were mobilizing. Humanity was preparing to fight. The crystalline valleys of Kepler 442b lay in ruin. Korak overseers marched the Zilani into forced labor camps, their harmonies replaced by the crackle of shock whips and the grinding of drills. The crystals that once sang now shuddered under the weight of extraction engines. Elder Zini stood with the survivors of her people, her translucent form dimmed. To see the sacred fields reduced to dust was to feel her very essence breaking. But deep inside, a single tone remained unbroken. She whispered it to the others, "The humans will come. Their world is hard, their will unbending. If any would rise for us, it is they." Far above, the new horizon drifted powerless among the wreckage of orbital stations. Jake Morrison and his small crew had slipped into the shadow of a shattered satellite, evading Korak patrols. From there, they transmitted updates to Earth Command, watching helplessly as transports stuffed with Zilani prisoners disappeared into the dark. Lisa clenched her fists. If Earth doesn't come soon, there won't be anyone left to save. Danny, pale but determined, adjusted the comm array. "Then we'll make sure Command can't ignore this. Every image, every scream, every transmission, we'll send it until someone acts." And someone was. At Frontier Defense Station 9, Admiral Kate Sullivan stood before a holomap of the Kepler system. The Korak fleet gleamed in red, its dreadnoughts dominating every orbital lane. Around the map flickered the hesitant faces of Earth's Colonial Council. "Admiral," one counselor said firmly, "we cannot risk open war with the Dominion. Humanity is strong, yes, but our fleets are scattered. The Korak outnumber us 10 to 1. Kepler 442b is not an Earth colony. It is not our fight." Sullivan's expression was stone. "Then tell me, Counselor, if we stand by while an entire people is enslaved, what does humanity become? Neutrality may buy safety for a season, but it rots the soul. The death world forged us hard for a reason. We do not look away. Her words carried. And beyond the chamber, they echoed across Earth's networks. The images Jake Morrison transmitted bled into public consciousness, Zalani children herded into transports, crystal cathedrals collapsing into ash. Outrage spread. On Mars colonies, on Europa stations, on Earth itself, voices rose. Help them. The council wavered. And then, at last, gave its order. The Third Fleet was mobilized. The human fleet gathered in silence at the edge of Sol. Hundreds of vessels, battlecruisers, carriers, stealth frigates, assembled beneath the shadow of Earth itself. For the first time in centuries, the people of Earth prepared to go to war not for territory, not for survival, but for principle. Admiral Sullivan addressed the captains in a secure channel. Her voice carried the quiet conviction of inevitability. We are not fighting for conquest. We are not fighting for glory. We are fighting for the right of a peaceful people to exist. The Dominion believes fear will silence us. They are wrong. We are Deathworlders. And today, we rise. Across the fleet, crews checked weapons, calibrated engines, and whispered to themselves that impossible phrase, "We're going to fight the Korak Dominion." Meanwhile, on Kepler 442b, resistance flickered in the darkness. Tar, once a miner and harmonist, now moved in secret beneath the ruined crystal caverns. He and a small band of Zalani had salvaged scraps, broken drones, mining lasers, fragments of crystal resonators. Crude, fragile, but enough for sabotage. They could not match the Dominion in force, but they could sting, they could resist, they could remind their people that surrender was not the only path. In one hidden cavern, Tar whispered to the group, the crystals themselves hum with defiance. Even broken, they remember what they once sang. We will carry that memory, and when the humans arrive, they will not find us silent. The resistance struck at night. Supply convoys vanished into landslides triggered by harmonic blasts. Communication towers crumbled as crystal charges sang their final notes. For every Zalani captured, 2 more rose in secret. And in the orbit above, Jake Morrison and the crew of the New Horizon coordinated what they could. Smuggling supplies from abandoned outposts, carrying intelligence to the resistance, spreading word through encrypted bursts, hold on. Help is coming. On the flagship Oblivion's Wrath, Supreme Commander Thakmor felt annoyance for the first time. The Zalani should have been broken already, yet whispers of resistance persisted. He ordered entire districts burned. Thousands of Zalani perished in the fires, their crystalline bodies cracking under the heat. And still, the whispers grew. This is human influence, Thakmor growled to his officers. The Deathworlders meddle where they do not belong. They must be taught fear. He ordered fleets shifted along Earth's borders. Already, the Dominion prepared its counterstroke. Back in Sol, the Third Fleet prepared for its jump. But before they departed, Sullivan released a single transmission across every open channel. A deliberate act of defiance. To the Zalani people, this is humanity. Your cries have been heard. You are not alone. The message echoed through Dominion monitors, infuriating Thakmor. But to the Zalani, huddled in mines and camps, it was a spark in the darkness. Cries of hope rang through the crystalline tunnels, the humans are coming. In the shadows of the Kepler system, a small human scout flotilla slipped ahead of the main fleet. Their orders were not to engage, but to observe and prepare the ground. Lieutenant Aya Chen of the stealth frigate Silent Dagger studied the Korak formations from a cloaked position near the asteroid belt. Her report was grim, multiple dreadnoughts, planetary defenses, and garrisons numbering in the tens of thousands. Her second-in-command muttered, "This is suicide. Even the Deathworlders can't take that head-on." Aya's gaze didn't waver. "Then we won't. We'll fight them the human way. Patience. Shadows. Precision. Already, her teams were mapping weak points, smuggling intel to the resistance, and preparing the kind of war the Korak had never faced. Not a frontal clash of fleets, but a death world war, dirty, unpredictable, relentless. In the crystalline ruins, Elder Zini felt the harmonies shift. A faint tone in the distance, almost imperceptible, but growing stronger with each passing day. It was not the song of the Zalani. It was harsher, sharper. A war song forged of storms and steel. The song of Earth. And she whispered, the Deathworlders are here. The sky above Kepler 442b burned red. Dominion dreadnoughts hung in low orbit like jagged thrones of iron, their cannons pouring fire into the crystal valleys. Entire mountain ranges shattered into dust. The Zalani huddled in mines and caverns, their voices nearly silent. But amid the silence came a message. It echoed in hidden channels, smuggled by human scouts, whispered from camp to camp, they are coming. The Deathworlders are almost here. Elder Zini pressed her cracked hands against the crystal walls of the cavern. She felt it, distant, sharp, unyielding. A rhythm unlike her people's harmonies. A war song. And then, the void itself seemed to answer. From the darkness beyond the system, the third human fleet emerged. Hundreds of warships unfolded from faster-than-light corridors, their hulls dark against the stars, their engines flaring like dawn. On the flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Kate Sullivan stood at the command deck. Before her stretched the impossible. Dominion fleets, orbital fortresses, planetary cannons, all arranged in an iron cage around Kepler 442b. Any rational commander would have hesitated. But she simply whispered, for the Zalani. And humanity advanced. The Dominion had prepared for brute force. They expected the humans to charge headlong, to be crushed by superior numbers. But Earth had learned patience from its death world. The first strikes came from shadows. Human stealth frigates, already hidden in the system, disabled Korak supply relays and shredded communication buoys. Electronic warfare units blinded targeting sensors. Dozens of Dominion ships turned their cannons against empty space, firing into ghosts. Then the real attack began. Swarms of human strike craft darted through the void like shards of lightning, weaving between the massive dreadnoughts. Their torpedoes found seams in armor, their railguns cracked open weapon pods. Not decisive blows, but relentless ones. Death world strikes designed to bleed the enemy until they faltered. On the surface, the Zalani heard the thunder from the sky. For the first time since the invasion, they sang again. Tar and his resistance rose from the caverns, detonating crystal charges beneath Dominion garrisons. Entire camps erupted in chaos as Zalani harmonics echoed through the valleys, guiding their people to strike where the humans had opened cracks. For every Dominion soldier burned by crystal fire, the song of the Zalani grew louder. But the battle was not without cost. On the Silent Dagger, Lieutenant Ayachin watched as one of her sister ships, the Vigilant Star, was torn apart by a dreadnought salvo. Hundreds of lives gone in a flash of plasma fire. Her second-in-command whispered, voice trembling, we can't win this. Aya's eyes narrowed. No. We can't outmuscle them. But we can outlast them. And that's the human way. Her frigate slipped through debris fields, scattering mines in its wake. One by one, Dominion cruisers stumbled into the traps, detonations rippling across their shields. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't glorious. But it was effective. In orbit, the battle reached its crescendo. The Dominion dreadnought Oblivion's Wrath, Supreme Commander Thakmor's flagship, turned its cannons upon the Resolute Dawn. The two giants exchanged fire, plasma lances raking across hull plating, railgun rounds slamming into shields. On the bridge, Admiral Sullivan stood firm even as consoles exploded around her. Her crew shouted damage reports, casualty lists, incoming fire. And still, she did not falter. Bring us closer, she ordered. Admiral, closer means. Closer. The resolute Dawn roared forward, weaving between blasts, until it was so near that the Dominion dreadnought could no longer angle its heavy guns. The human flagship unleashed everything, torpedoes, railguns, point defense cannons, directly into the Wrath's exposed flanks. The Deathworlders did not duel from a distance. They fought with teeth bared. On the surface, Tar's resistance stormed a Dominion command post. Zolani harmonics reverberated through crystal shards, shattering enemy armor, disrupting targeting systems. For the first time, Dominion soldiers stumbled back, uncertain, shaken. Tar lifted a salvaged Dominion blaster and declared, "We are not silent. We are not broken." The Zolani chorus rose, harmonizing with the thunder from orbit. A song of defiance, carried on crystal and fire. And then, at last, the impossible happened. The Oblivion's wrath cracked. Human bombardment ripped through its reactors, tearing the dreadnought in half. The explosion lit the sky above Kepler 442b like a second sun. On the bridge of the Resolute Dawn, silence fell as the wreckage scattered into the void. Then cheers erupted. Across the fleet, human crews screamed in triumph. Across the surface, Zolani sang until the very crystals of their world shook. Supreme Commander Thakmor's death sent ripples through the Dominion ranks. Order fractured. Discipline broke. And in that moment, the humans pressed their advantage. One by one, Dominion ships fell back. One by one, garrisons surrendered or were overrun. The iron grip of the Korak Dominion shattered against the unyielding will of Earth and the rising harmony of the Zolani. When the battle ended, the sky above Kepler 442b was clear. Dominion fleets fled, their remnants limping back into the void. For the first time in living memory, the Dominion had been defeated, not by rebellion, not by chance, but by open war. In the crystal valleys, Zolani emerged from their shelters. They stood among ruins, but they stood free. Elder Zini lifted her hands and sang, not a song of mourning, but of rebirth. Her people joined her, their harmonies weaving with the rumble of human ships above. On the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Sullivan recorded a final transmission. Her voice was steady, but her words carried across the galaxy. To the people of the stars, humanity did not seek this war. But we will not turn away from tyranny. The Dominion believed fear would silence us. They were wrong. We are Deathworlders. And wherever chains are forged, we will break them. In distant sectors, whispers spread. Worlds under Dominion rule stirred, asking questions long forbidden. If the humans could strike the unbreakable, perhaps others could rise as well. The Korak Dominion had not fallen. Its fleets still numbered in the thousands, its armies in the millions. But something deeper had cracked, the illusion of invincibility. And in that crack, hope bloomed. On Kepler 442b, Zolani children sang the harmonies of their ancestors, weaving them with strange, harsh notes taught by human allies. A new song. A song of defiance, born from crystal and storm. The galaxy listened. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy wondered if the Deathworlders might one day lead them all.